You're listening to Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair. For more information, check out chrisblair.com. This week's guest has got an incredible career already, and we're going to dive into all that. From Kansas City, Missouri, we're going to talk about how he got to Nashville, how he first got started with songwriting, even before he was old enough to go into the bars, and kind of what he did instead to learn more about business, build his camp, and then ultimately get out on the road and build a name for himself as an artist, independently, growing hundreds of thousands of fans. And it was just awesome to sit down. Let's get to it. Here is Roman Alexander. What's up, everybody? We are back in Nashville in the new podcast room. Roman Alexander, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You're the second one that we've done in this new podcast room.
It looks good in here. You got the cameras, the lights.
Yeah, still setting up a little bit, but it's good to be able to have a space that we can do this all the time now.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, man, I'm excited to kind of dive in. You're from Missouri. Let's just go back to then.
Yeah.
Growing up, were you always into music?
Yeah, I was. I mean, you know, like, I went through phases, as every kid does. Like, I was 7 the first time my mom ever bought me a guitar. I was 8. But my mom, you know, my uncle has a country band back home in Missouri. So, and I'm from Parkville, Missouri, which is right outside KC. So it's like a suburb. It's a little bit of a small town feel. And then you still have the city, you know, right downtown.
Yeah.
So, you know, my uncle kind of played all over the Midwest, played all over KC, got a pretty good reputation there. And then, you know, I would get up and do open mic with them, and it started doing like Folsom Prison Blues and Good Hearted Woman and, Friends in Low Places, all the songs that, you know, like were, you know, every kind of country artist or songwriter typically kind of ends up falling in love with or like. Yeah. And so that was kind of my introduction. And then my mom went with my uncle to go pick out a guitar. And that's what I got for my birthday one year. And then I just played it. I didn't know how to play it at all. I just figured it out. I had to learn by ear. I sat in my room for hours and hours. No, actually, I got lessons for about a week. And her name was Madeline. She was awesome. Her name was Mandolin. She was incredible for a week until she realized I wasn't doing my homework. Like, I was supposed to go home and, like, you know, go through the charts. And I was just like, what do I need this for? I just want to... Johnny Cash didn't know how to read music. Yeah. Elvis didn't know how to read music, which isn't true. He kind of did. And I was just like, I would show up and she'd be like, did you learn anything? But what I would do is I'd go and learn by ear. Yeah. So I would just, like, listen and then just mimic it. But she was able to tell because of, like, my strumming patterns or maybe just the way I was playing it. It wasn't exactly how I was supposed to play it. And she was, you know, she went to my mom and she's like, look, you're just wasting your money at this point. I think he's got it. I think he wants to play guitar. I just think he's going to need to learn how to play by ear. So that's what I did. Yeah.
Dude, that's so funny. I did the same thing. When I first started playing, it was like almost identical. I think I took lessons for like a month.
Yeah.
But my thing was, this was like right when I was starting to get into country music, and I was just going down this rabbit hole. And I just wanted to learn all of these songs. Uh-huh. And my instructor, I don't remember his name, but like long hair, total rocker. And he was like, "Let me teach you power chords and like, let's play some Skid Row and Motley Crue and like all this kind of stuff."
Now you're talking my language. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would learn those, but then I'd come back and I'd be like, I didn't practice that, but check this song out. It's called The Dance, or something like that. And it was like, same thing. So.
Man, and I was in a thing, you might have heard of it. It's called School of Rock.
Yeah.
And I was in that program. And my mom said if I could do guitar lessons for a year, that I'd be able to go to School of Rock. And I stayed in guitar lessons for a week and actually like had to go. And then she just kind of realized I couldn't do that. So I would, go and like do jam sessions and open mics. And that was kind of like my guitar lessons. So I committed to that for a full year. And there's a bar up the road called Al's Bar and Grill from where I grew up. And the guy's name's Al who owns it. And best wings in town. Great. They used to have these live music. Like it was open mics every Thursday. And man, like my mom would take me and I'd have to get in early before like they started, so like, you couldn't go in anymore. I think I started going there when I was 12. And man, I played there every single week until I was 18 years old.
Wow.
And like, I loved that place. I built a little fan base. I changed up the songs. Then I got to where I was able to sit in with the band there. And then I went to School of Rock, and when I was in high school, and I went through the phase of wanting to learn how to play guitar like Slash. So I had to have a Les Paul. So I worked all summer to buy a Les Paul with Seymour Duncan altitude 2 pickups in it, and a Marshall half stack, and then.
Come on, man.
Yeah, man, I got really into it. And then, Motley Crue, Metallica, I went through all these phases. But it always came back to country music. So
yeah,
I think I realized that, and maybe we're jumping ahead, but I realized that when I got into high school, and I found out girls liked country music. FGL was blowing up. Like, I could say all my inspirations were like Elvis. I love Elvis. That's my go-to. Johnny Cash, that's another go-to. And that's great and all. I could say all those things, but what really kind of got me was like Billy Currington, because it was like that's what I was listening to actively, you know. And Keith Urban, and FGL was just popping off. Sam Hunt had just released Montevallo, so right then and there I was like, oh wait a second, hang on, this is the stuff I want to make a living doing. And Sam's songwriting at the time it still is. God, it was. There's nothing like hearing like Single for the Summer or like Take Your Time. It was such a different take on music. But I think a lot of his music is what inspired this new generation of country music that's coming in, very very influential.
Yeah. Love that, man. And then full circle, you get to tour with him down the road. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So you've got these inspirations. You're still in KC. When was it that you were like, okay, I want to do country music and I need to get to Nashville?
Oh yeah, when girls. When girls. I mean, I started in high school. I was like, there's this group called Backroad Anthem, and they were. Do you remember those guys? Yeah, man. And I still know a couple of the guys in there. Josh, the guitar player, and then Isaac, the drummer. I love those dudes, and they just like. They were kind of like doing the bro country thing. Yeah. And I never hated bro country. I was like, I think it's kind of cool, girls like it, and they were doing these sorority circuits. So I remember I messaged Craig, the lead singer at the time from Backroad Anthem, and I was like, man, how can I go on tour with you guys? You guys are playing for all these girls. I want to play. Like, I want to go out there and play on the shows. And they were like, yeah, man, you can open up a couple times. So I did. They let me come to the University of Arkansas, and it was for sorority. And it was like the craziest show. It was all packed out, and I just, from then on out, I was like, I have to play sororities. I have to play colleges. So, I met some of my closest friends I'm still friends with today some play with me on the road during that time. It was really, really cool. Yeah. So I did the whole sorority circuit. And then when I realized, this is the real reason I was like, I got to move to Nashville. I was dating a girl that was going to Mizzou. University of Missouri. She was a little bit older than me. I was still in high school, so I thought I was cool. And I remember asking my mom, I was like, hey, I need $50. I got to buy a ticket, and I need to get some gas to go to Columbia, Missouri. It's about a 2-hour drive. I didn't have a job. I was just playing like every weekend, but I wasn't making that much money because I was up tips. Then I would spend it. I'd spend any money I made. I just spend it. You know how it goes. And I drove all the way to Columbia, Missouri, and took this girl to the Blue Note in Columbia, Missouri, to go see Sam Hunt. But when I walked in, I had no idea who like Sam really was. I mean, I was like, he was this guy with a flat-billed hat and a gold chain on. And girls were flocking over this guy. I mean, like, he jumped in the pit, and I was like, wait a second. I remember thinking that was cool, right? But then I heard the songwriting, and I heard the music, and I heard the words, and he played "To Make You Miss Me," all the songs off of the Montevallo record. I was like, wait a second, that's what I want to do. Whatever he's doing, I want to do that. And that's when I decided right after high school, day after high school, I was going to graduate and move to Nashville, and I did.
Love that.
Yeah.
So when you got here, breaking into the songwriting community here can be tough.
Yeah, it still is.
Yeah. What did you do?
So when I moved, I was 18, so I couldn't drink legally. I couldn't go out, couldn't socialize. I had 3 fake IDs taken from me at various bars, so I probably got somebody busted because I was like having to reorder a fake ID all the time. But, I kind of found my avenue of getting into the industry was going to have to be a little different. It wasn't going to be going and playing writers' rounds. I didn't know that even existed. I didn't even know people could get paid to write songs. So my buddy who's still one of my closest friends, consider my brother. His name's Tanner Adams. We met years before that in Kansas City. He was a tour manager for an artist named Brian Davis, or a songwriter too. And so I opened up for Brian, and he said, "Hey man, like you should move to Nashville. I think you got it." At the time, I'm still like a sophomore, junior in high school. I was like, "Yeah, man, that's like my goal. I want to move to Nashville. I want to play. I want to play in the bars and the honky tonks." And he's like, "No. Like you need the tour." And he paid for I moved to Nashville years later, and he paid for my rent for the first few months. He was working multiple jobs to be able to do that because he truly believed in what I was doing.
Brian did this?
No, my buddy Tanner Adams, who was tour managing for him.
Got it. Okay.
And man, he paid my rent, and just told me to get on my feet, find a job, and I did. I was washing gym equipment, the morning shift, work out anytime in Lenox Village in Brentwood, and then I would get my Subaru Baja. And I drive all the way to Cool Springs to work at the Audi dealership and wash cars. So what I was doing at the Audi dealership was, washing cars, being a porter, pulling people's cars up for them. Well, I kind of strategically picked Audi because whenever, a lot of these songwriters or executives would come in, it would be in an Audi. So Dierks Bentley came in. I met David Nail that way. So got close with David through that. And then... Kix Brooks would come in every once in a great while. A lot of these artists, Vince Gill, I think, was one of them. Jeffrey Steele was one I really remember. He had this bright yellow Audi A3 convertible, and I accidentally hit it while I was washing. One of the washing carts just went down the hill and hit it.
Oh my god!
And I was like, I'm not gonna say anything. I didn't say anything because I didn't leave a mark. But man, I probably would have been fired that day. But he's a great guy, so I don't think he would have cared. But no. This record executive came in. His name's Rick Froyo. I've actually never said his name publicly because I didn't know if he would ever care. But I think it's a cool story because he came in and I think he was bringing his wife's car in that day, or maybe it's his. But I opened up and I saw there was a business card sitting there. So I was like, I'm sure he's got more of these. So I took his business card, put it in my pocket. I went home, made a fake email, sent some of my demos I had recorded that sounded terrible. I was trying to sound my voice way deeper than it actually was. I was forcing it. And he replied to an email. I was a fake manager, and I sent the music over. And he replied. He said, "Come to my office, next Tuesday at 9 a.m. So I called my boss. I was like, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to be at work at 9 a.m. I got a meeting I have to go to." And he's like, "Okay, sounds good. Whatever, just go in right after." Well, I ended up going there and meet with him. And he was really nice, really complimentary, but he was like, "Hey, buddy, you don't have it yet. You don't have your songs down, your voice, you haven't found it, but I love how ambitious you are. I'm cool with that." So years later, fast forward, and I am in a record label meeting with him, and at the end of the meeting, he hands me his business card. And I was like, no, I'm all good. I already got one of those. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of a cool full circle. But during that time, if you want to answer your question on how I got into the community, though, I didn't know how to. Yeah. And so at the time,
well, it's such at that age. I mean, so many of the writers just meet each other, hanging at places in Midtown or wherever at the bars.
Yeah. So, and if you can't get in there, you're screwed. Clearly I had bad luck with those fake IDs. One week I was from Maine, another week I was from Tennessee, a week before that I was from Florida. So it changed, and then I realized how illegal that actually was. I probably better off not doing this. But no, my buddy Tanner again, he came in and said, "Hey, do you know how to sell t-shirts? Do you want to be a merch guy?" And I was like, "Well, that's easy. Just sell t-shirts and exchange money." Not knowing math was my worst subject, so bad idea. He's like, "All right, well, I know you're a big 90s country guy. There's a group called Shenandoah, and you are going to go on the road tonight at midnight. If you can, they need somebody, and you're going to get on the bus at midnight. I'll teach you bus etiquette, everything. You just got to wing it. I've already lied for you. Just submit. I've already made a fake resume for you. Go." And sure enough, I did. I went on the road that night with Shenandoah, and that lasted for a year and a half, 2 years. And then I ended up going with Easton Corbin and Jody Messina and becoming a merch guy. Yeah. And I know a lot of artists have started that way. Cole Swindell's one of them. But during that time, TikTok wasn't a thing, so I was making Instagram videos while the artist was in sound check and the band was in sound check, I'd pull my guitar out of the bottom of the bus. I'd go on the bus and I'd make it look like it was my tour bus. So people would be like, wait, where were you at tonight? And I was like, oh, I was in Indiana. Well, I was there at the Easton Corbin concert. What do you mean you were opening up for him? I'm like, yeah, you must have missed me. I don't know what happened. You know, so
No way, dude.
You just fake it till you make it. And I built fans that way. And that's how I got a publishing deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I was really good at, I've always said, like, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. Like, I was king of it.
You said earlier that Elvis was a big inspiration. You know, he built his career a lot like that.
Yeah, he did.
He, you know, he would call places and act like a manager.
Yep.
And maybe even while he had the Colonel. I don't know like how much sooner than that, but yeah, I mean he would do that same thing.
I'm going to Graceland. I have Elvis tattoos. That was the first tattoo I ever got, was Elvis Presley's signature. And
That's
then
awesome.
I got, funny story, my mom's name's Lisa Marie, and that's the font from the side of the airplane. But I got this at a different time, and people think this is my mom. And so they're like, who's Lisa Marie? I'm like, my mom. And they think this is my mom. And I was like, that's not my mom.
Yeah.
Totally different. It's just a girl in an Elvis jumpsuit. But I'm going to Graceland for the first time this week. I've been asked numerous times to go. The Shenandoah guys offered to take me. And I remember just saying, no, I want to go with my grandpa. He was the one who introduced me to Elvis.
Yeah,
and so my grandpa, he's the one who's taking me this weekend. I'm pretty excited.
That's so awesome.
So, yeah.
All right, we got to get into music,
Yeah.
but I got to tell you a funny story. You're talking about fake IDs. It came to mind. So my brother's name is Drew. He's 4.5 years younger than me. So my brother played college basketball. He was really good, and they'd go like all over the place and play. And in 2000, I think it was, he had a big tournament in Hawaii. So I was going with him, and he wasn't 21 yet. And he had my fake ID, so it was like real
McLovin.
but it was just so we're going out to this nightclub, and he's like I'll just go, and then you come like 30 minutes later, you know, whatever. I was like, cool, I'll see you there. So he goes with his team, and I walk in. Dude, this place is huge. It's like a 3-story like club, you know, like
proper
thousands of people there, right?
Yeah.
And I walk in, and the bouncer literally looks at my ID and was like, I don't think so. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you're already here. Like how he remembered, like it was incredible. And I had friends there, and I was like, no, go get my brother. He comes around the corner, he looks at me, and he's like, and I'm like, Drew. And he looks at me, he's like, Drew, calls me Drew. And like, basically they kicked me out.
Yeah.
Like they let my brother stay in. I was like, dude, that's the last time you're using my ID.
So did he take the ID, or did he give it to your brother?
No, he just kicked me out.
Okay.
He didn't take my ID.
That's cool.
Luckily, because it was my real ID.
That's nice.
You know? But it was like,
I had a bouncer grab my arm and say, he's like, he looked at it. He goes, come here. Grab my arm, and he was going to call over an officer. And I'm like, dude, really? And so I remember like pulled my arm away and ran.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on Broadway. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about writing. First, how did you find your way in? Like, what role has singing with 12-6 played like in your growth?
Yeah, I mean, the head guy over there, Travis Myatt, he's got this really fascinating talent. I think many publishers have. He's got this really unique talent of putting you through the gauntlet.
Yeah,
dude. And I know you understand this. When you are a new writer, you are dating so many people. You are in a room every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. Dude, this guy had me writing 2 times a day, 4 days a week, 5 days a week for 6 months. Dude, I wrote the most I've ever... I mean, I met my quota like a month in.
Yeah.
But I was so thankful for that at the end of it. Man, there was days I hated him because I was like, God, I just want to relax. But he's got this really unique ability to book you in the rights, and then you find your people that way. But he's like, if you want, you being an artist, if you want to find your sound, you want to find your story, you want to be able to tell people who you are, you need to write. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it, and then the outside songs will come in once you have an identity. But until then, people need to get to know you, and you're only going to get that through songs.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
So, starting out early on, like knowing that you wanted to be the artist, how do you approach when you're writing a song, like picking whether that's for you or for someone else? Do you go into a room with an idea of like, hey, this is my song, or do sometimes it just like, what's the process for you?
I walk in and I'm gonna say, all right, so I need this today.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm always looking for like what I need.
Yeah.
I've kind of been able to wave a little bit away from that these days, where I'm able to just be like, this is what I want. I kind of want to chase this today. But if I'm aiming for a project and I have goals for a project, I'm going for what I need that day. Yeah. So and usually writers are pretty receptive. There's been a couple awkward times where we're writing with an artist, and I think my publisher, their publisher, put us together, and it's two artists together, and that can get a little awkward because you're like, the song's really great, and they're like, yeah, the song's really great, and I'm like, okay, and then you got to be like
arm wrestle.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like one of those things, and then you just can. I've learned to just leave it alone. Don't say anything. Don't act impressed by the song. And then it typically works out because people are hyped that day, right? It sounds good. When you go home and live with it a little bit, people they'll move on to the next thing real quick. So
yeah. Who were some of the early songwriters, or even now that you've gotten to write with that were like a big inspiration for you?
Jerry Flowers, always number one for me.
Man.
One of the most incredible, if not the most incredible human I've ever met.
Yeah.
Number one, just
also a big Elvis fan.
Huge Elvis fan.
Yeah.
But like a loving person. He's real.
Yeah.
He's always just very enthusiastic about new artists and very supportive. And he produced my first record with Jared Keim, who's another guy that's an incredible writer that was my first producer. And, he was my first co-write in Nashville. Adam James.
Yeah.
And Allison Veltz were like just the bread and butter. I mean, that woman she bought me my first Bible. I thought that's really cool.
Come on, man.
Yeah, she did. And
she's a sweetheart.
Yeah, I texted her yesterday and told her thank you because that moment always still means a lot to me. So she's an incredible person.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
I've got so many awesome memories with Jerry Flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any crazy stories?
Man, I mean, I used to just sit and listen to him talk for hours. I mean, he'd just tell these stories about eating cheeseburgers with Elvis and like, just all this kind of stuff and just, man.
He's the man, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got Jerry, and then you got God. I mean, there's so many. I mean, there really are. My producer now, his name's Matt McVaney, and I remember writing with him. He was starting to write with Sam a lot, and then Kane Brown and a lot of those guys. And I remember like loving his production style, and I was like, man, I really want to work with this guy again. And years went by, and then one day we got booked in another write together 6 years later, and then the demo was so awesome. I was like, well, I just want to release the demo. And we released the demo basically of Way Over You. Yeah. So yeah, he's incredible, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many great champions in this town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to writing, so you kind of, when you go into a room, hey, I need to write this for me. Mm-hmm. What was it the day that you wrote Party Mode?
Party Mode was funny. So and another guy, Ryan Beaver, I spent a lot of time with him too, and especially when I was first getting started. And a lot of these guys, all of them, have gone on to be, number one songwriters. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jerry's multiple number ones. But we were on a writer's retreat for me, and we were working on my second EP. And the first EP had already done a lot. Between You and Me was already exploding. Actually, Between You and Me, the second version with Ashley Cook, released that weekend. So that was already a big weekend for me. And we were writing for my EP. And, obviously with writers' retreats, if people don't know what they are, you go to a house or a location, out of town, in town, and it's basically a camp. The artist will bounce between rooms, and you have probably 6, 7, maybe 10 writers all working for your project to make songs for you. So your attention span's already short because you're bouncing from room A to room B to room C and sometimes D. And, towards the end of the day, everybody starts drinking. Everybody's nice and loosey-goosey, and everybody's having fun. Well, we're done writing for me for the day. And I hear this melody out on the deck, and it was Jerry, party mode, party mode. And then Ryan Beaver would kick in, and then Jared Keim would kick in. And I was like, God, that sounds really good. And I walked out there, and obviously I've been drinking a lot, so I was like, what are y'all writing? They're like, oh, we're writing a song for John Party Mode. And I was like, In my head, I was like, well, this is my writer's retreat. Why are you writing for John Party? Good for y'all. And I walked off, and then I heard the melody again, and I was like, wait, they're writing for John Party. That'd be really stupid of me to not get in on this. So I stumbled out, to the patio, and I was like, I said, "Hey, what did you just say?" It was probably a great line. And I was like, "Yeah, I don't like that. What if we did this instead?" So I forced my way into the right that day. And I kind of felt like they were like, "All right, whatever. It is his writer's retreat. We're going to let him do it." And they let me in on it. And then all night we worked on that song. Man, we had a blast. We all had fun. We took it from upstairs to downstairs in the studio and built a demo out. And that was it.
Yeah.
And then Jerry sent it to Zach Crowell. Zach Crowell sent it to Dustin. Dustin sang a demo. Then he wasn't sure. Then he went through a breakup. And then he's like, "You know what? Boom. I'm recording that song." So it wasn't supposed to get cut, and it got cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. I got a tattoo to remember it. It says "Good for y'all."
Come on. I love it. So what was it like watching that song grow? Like coming from that idea on the deck to, where it went. It's huge song.
Yeah. I'm really bad at not taking things for granted, just really bad at sometimes living in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm very much, if you grew up playing sports, it's like, cool. Task A is done. I'm ready for the next one. Like, let's get on with the next thing. And so I didn't really soak it in because it was my first radio single. And I didn't really soak it in. I mean, I didn't hear it on the radio until like it was in the top 15. And it sat in the top 15 for like 26 weeks, something crazy like that. It just wasn't moving. And at that time, you got TikTok artists, that were blowing up and popping off and jumping that. And but man, it stuck where it was, and I was thankful for it. It was a payday, and it was, more importantly, I met some great people along the way on that. And, it definitely helped out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that kind of like set things aside for you as a songwriter versus artist?
I think it kind of does. I've always tried to keep the artistry first and foremost at all times, no matter what.
Sure.
Never try to lose track of that, because I think so many artists people start off as artists and they're like, well, this isn't working out for me as an artist. I'm just going to become a songwriter. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's an amazing thing. For me, I was just like, I can't do that. I've set here to be an artist. I only want to be an artist. And if that's God's plan for me, that's totally fine. If it's not, then it's totally fine too. But I really, I think it helped me get into rooms that I normally probably couldn't get into. And even after having a couple big songs myself, it's still that there was a songwriting legitimacy of having a radio single that was like, okay, we'll let them in. Yeah. And they did. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. By the way, I got to say this because as you were telling the story, it hit me that you were talking about the other Jerry Flowers.
There's two Jerry Flowers.
So, yeah. So when you're talking about Elvis and like, Cash and all these.
Well, because
so
Jerry Flowers, the bald Jerry Flowers is a big Elvis fan.
He
too,
is,
so.
yeah. But that's the Keith Jerry Flowers.
Yeah.
And when you were first talking about that, like I was thinking about the older Jerry Flowers, who's also an incredible writer and a legend, but
J Flo and we joke about it too.
I was like, yeah, that Jerry Flowers definitely did not have a cheeseburger with Elvis. So
I was like, it wouldn't surprise me though, because Jerry's got the craziest stories. So like when you said that, I was like, that checks. I mean, I've heard some crazy stories from him, man.
Yeah, both
incredible.
Great guys. But yeah, it hit me that I was like, okay, yeah, that's the different Jerry Flowers. But okay, let's talk about Between You and Me.
Yeah.
Man, massive viral impact. Put you on Spotify's Hot Country playlist for a record stretch.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that moment in your career and just what that meant for you. You talked about not taking time to slow down and kind of just take it all in.
Yeah.
Were you able to when this happened? No.
Same thing.
Man.
Because I think also too, part of becoming a man and maturing and growing as a person in general is knowing when to take a step back and reflect and to look at what you've done.
Yeah.
And I think during that time, TikTok was growing so fast. There was so much happening. I released the song myself in November of 2020. The song immediately the next week gets added to Hot Country. It stays on the charts on a Hot Country. I was getting 1 million streams a week at one point. And then it goes to the springtime. Ashley Cook is a good friend of mine, so I went to her and I was like, hey, you have a TikTok following. I don't. I have a Spotify following. You don't have a song out yet. This might be a really good opportunity for both of us. And she was like, yes, absolutely. Her manager was awesome about it. Next thing you know, we released a song. All they did was just swap out my version and put her version with our version on there. And It was just a rocket.
Man.
And I didn't soak it in. I really didn't, because I was like, okay, I got to get the next song out because this one's going to die off and eventually, and it just didn't. It was like 11 months that song sat on Hot Country. I don't think any song sits on Hot Country for 11 months. And I don't think they even allow that now.
Yeah.
I know they don't allow that. But it sat there for a long time, man.
Yeah.
And it was a life changer, because I was able to go out on the road and people knew all my songs. You get one that pops up, they study your whole catalog. And that's a true blessing. That's really amazing. So yeah, I really wish I would have soaked it in.
I talk about this quite a bit on this podcast, like stories behind the songs. It's a very loose term because we love diving into the history and like how you got into music. And obviously we're going to hit the stories behind some of your songs and have you play one in just a little bit. But I love just hearing the different unique ways that people get started. So with that, like, you know, you release it on your own, you're independent. Like you built your fan base independently. Yeah. You know, so like, what do you think it was that
your favorite song is that you've written that nobody's heard?
Like, gave you the opportunity to do that?
Well, at the time I was with 12-6 still. It was an artist development deal. So it wasn't like full-blown record deal push yet, you know. That came right after the song blew up. I mean, it was like instantly after the song blew up. But the owner of 12-6, she came to me. She was the one who reached out and gave me my first publishing deal. And I've started before it became 12-6. I was just her and I and Tanner. And we just kind of winged it. It was just kind of like, well, she'll invest money in her resources and I'll record songs. And that's what happened. And then she brought Travis on board with 12-6. And then the writing stuff happened. And Allison Veltz and Jared Kyman I wrote Between You and Me. And that was... Man, that was a really cool time. What was the? Sorry, can you read? I got lost. I was thinking about it again.
Just how you built everything independently.
Yeah. So that a lot of it came from touring. Was the main thing. I've always touring is your bread and butter. You're going to get your loyal underground fan bases. Yeah. Kit Moore is the king of that.
Yes, he is.
And I've always looked at him as a role model for that, because you can learn a lot from touring. You also are able to diversify your fan base that way. People might not like the recorded versions of your songs. They might like the live versions of your songs, or vice versa. Another thing, though, when I went on a college tour and I was playing the college circuit, I would go door to door. I would ask the venue. I almost like to challenge. I do so much better when my back's against the ropes and I feel like the odds are against me. I don't know why I do. It's kind of a toxic trait. But I would wait until the day of. I'd call the venue and say, how many tickets we sold? You sold 10. I'm like, oh, like 4 of those are my family. So I'd go, like, all right, we're in, St. Louis or Chicago or Minneapolis. I'd go door to door of every sorority and say, hey, I will give you guys free tickets to the show tonight. If you guys, not knowing that the tickets were already free, they just have to pay a door cover charge. All you have to do is get into the show, and I'll do a free party for your sorority at some point. And I would just do all this stuff, and I have to write it all down so I didn't falsely remember. Yeah. Next thing you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before doors, there's 250 people lined out the block. And it's just grassroots. So cool. It's just, that's the one thing TikTok, Instagram, any of these apps cannot replace, and that's grassroots fans. Good luck. You can build them. Yeah. You can build them if you truly, chip away at it, but touring will always be the bread and butter.
Man, love that.
And more importantly, the song.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Where'd you come up with ideas like that?
A lot of it, again, credit to my buddy Tanner. He's just a businessman. Like, he knows business, and he loves music. At the time, I was really inspired. I mean, when I actually am thankful I didn't go out to the bars when I was growing up, 18 to 21, because I would have gotten lost in that. I would have lost what I was here for. There were so many times, he's older than me too, so he could go and drink, but he would stay. We both lived together. He was my roommate, and he would stay and he'd be like, "We're gonna watch a business development video tonight. We're gonna watch about Russ, the rapper, how he built his career independently. We're gonna study these people so that when you are ready, the ins and outs. And obviously the landscape changes, but the core structure is always going to be the same. So I think learning the business side of it for me was always the most important part. And I really give him a lot of credit for helping me with that. Yeah.
Yeah. What a great story, man.
Yeah, man. I hope it is.
And you're still doing it. I love it.
I'm trying. Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into Midwest Calling, the EP.
Third EP. Yeah.
What was the vision, inspiration behind that?
Well, from the Midwest, like yourself.
Yep.
So things hit a little
Cardinals
different.
fan.
Go Cards. Yeah. Go Birds.
Yep.
Things hit a little different in the Midwest.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. Breakups feel different in the Midwest. I just like can't go to the grocery store without seeing your ex-girlfriend's mom. You know, it's like your typical story, but that's, you know how it is. I mean, it's like, it's the Midwest. The weather changes. It can't make up its mind. It's cold one day, it's hot another. You know, it's humid, it's not. And then you get 20 inches of snow and you have no idea where it came from. It's just, the Midwest can never make up its mind, but for some reason I've always had this attachment to it. I've always loved it, and so it always calls me back. A lot of my inspiration for my songs come from my experiences in the Midwest, because my roots are so deeply rooted there. My whole family. My dad's side's from Mexico. My mom's side's from Missouri. They're about as white as it gets. My dad's side's about as Mexican as it gets. You know, and I failed Spanish 1. So, and that the Midwest always calls me back, though. And there's so much diversity from where I'm from that I always draw back to that. And so when that EP was getting kind of drawn up and we were talking about it, that's kind of the theme I wanted. And a lot of the songs I'd already written. They kind of compiled and kind of made itself. I didn't really have to like go and write for the project. Okay. The project was already kind of there. There's a few things I added.
How many songs did you have when you were putting that together that you had to dive through?
Probably a good 10. Okay. I narrowed it down to 6.
Yep.
6 or 7.
Yep.
And Mama Smoked Cigarettes had already came out the year before that, and that was kind of the starter of that project.
Yeah, I love that song. I want to have you play it if that's okay. But let's start with Way Over You. Let's just dive into the guts of what this podcast is. And take me into the story behind writing that one. Where did that inspiration come from, and how was that day like in that room?
Yeah, so when I said Matt McVaney, and that was the first time in 6 years I had written with him, and he's now my producer, that was the demo. And that was the day we wrote that song. I think, and it was with Jen Schott, who attended the University of Missouri, so she's a Missouri girl too. Like, there was like this nostalgia, because I'd written many songs with Jen, so I was already familiar with her. She's got this really unique way of being able to write a song really quick, but also put a lot of meaning and understand who the artist is before it. And that's a very unique ability not everybody has. Some people come in, they treat it like a 9 to 5. It's just boom, 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 done. All right, out. And then you get people who truly sit there until the job is finished and they know it's right. And Matt's the same way. He had this track kind of already built out, and he's like, yeah, man, we're going to go ahead and I think we should write to this one. And it just sounded like a hit song to me. There's just this feeling you get when you just know sonically you're like, the song's in the right place. And so there's a little nostalgia with that, because I was like, man, I haven't written with this guy in 6 years, and this song rocks, and he's a great producer. And then Jen over here, who's an amazing human being and already knows who I am, so she knows my story. And I have kind of this attachment to breakup songs. I'm in love, but I have this attachment to breakup songs. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I just do. And to me, sonically, they hit different.
Yeah.
I just never loved like writing love songs. Just never was my thing. Maybe that'll change eventually.
Or maybe that's the song.
Yeah, maybe it is. You know, like, I didn't like love songs till now, kind of thing. But yeah, no, we wrote that day, and it was more or less just, experience of going through a breakup, but it's more importantly going through the motions of a breakup.
Was there any kind of personal feeling or anything that like brought, like, who had the hook?
That'd be Jen.
Okay.
That had the hook.
Yeah.
There's a couple lines in that song I love, like hearts don't break even. I know I'm the reason you moved on and found someone new. I'm way under the table at a bar downtown. Like, all these different things that don't hit you until after you listen to it. You're like, oh wait, that's actually a pretty good line. And there was the first time I actually listened to a song, like, I don't know if I wouldn't change anything. We nailed it that day. I'm always critiquing my stuff even after it comes out.
Yeah.
So there's obviously personal connection to the song. It's a breakup song. But at the same time, it was just, like I said, nostalgia that day. It just the music sounded right sonically, and the right people were in the room that day.
Yeah. Was there a idea of like, I want this kind of breakup song on the EP?
That didn't come until after. I think it was like after it was done, I was like, oh, this will fit perfectly.
When you're picking all the songs,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this will sit perfectly because I have plenty of breakup songs. I have a whole EP called "Songs from a Breakup," a little 2-song EP, little thing, and that was those songs are great too. I love those songs, but I wrote those right after a breakup, so they were perfect.
Yeah.
But this one I didn't. I wasn't in a breakup. I just was like, I want to pull that energy from those songs and bring it over to this, and I think a little bit like going back to, seeing I was for a long time I was dating a girl when I first moved to Nashville. We dated for a really long time, and she was attending college, and after college she moved here to Nashville to be with me, and we just didn't work out, and it really sucked going through that breakup because when she went home and she moved back, she met somebody immediately and kind of moved on, and the story is old as time, but that still hurts, and I, rather than being all sad and sappy about that, I was like, I'm gonna write songs about it, and so I did. Yeah, so that was one of them. I think that was really probably where the energy came from.
Yeah,
it's from that.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, man.
Mama Smoked Cigarettes.
Yeah,
such a vivid title, dude.
Yeah.
Where did that one come from?
So Josh London and McCoy Moore, I wrote that with them that day. But there was a story of my mom. So whenever I was in high school, my mom had caught me smoking a couple of times. She had found packs of cigarettes. Hell, I'll still smoke a cigarette once in a great while. I don't discriminate.
Don't discriminate.
Yeah, I love cigarettes, man. Marlboro, Parliaments, American Spirit. I'll smoke it. I don't care. But I was going through old pictures one day in the attic because my room was attached to the attic, and I was going through pictures and seeing all my baby pictures and things. A few of my GI Joes and Hot Wheels are in there and everything. Occasionally I'll go back and look. 'Cause I have some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And my mom would always be like, "Don't smoke; it's going to ruin your voice." My mom was in choir, and she was so convinced that she had ruined her singing voice by smoking cigarettes. And I was like, that's not true. That doesn't happen like that. You don't just like, you got, the lead singer of Zeppelin. You got Johnny Cash. You got all these people, Janis Joplin. You're going to tell me that your voice was ruined by, no, it wasn't. I think you have nerves. I think you're a little nervous, and I think you got in your head about it, and that's probably why it happened. And so, but my mom's got a beautiful voice too. I don't even know what she's talking about. But I was looking at the bottom of the box, and there's a picture of my mom smoking a cigarette with purple hair and earrings and combat boots. She looked like Duran Duran. Like, it was like total 80s vibe. And I was like, that hypocrite. And I brought that picture. I was like, what's this? What is this about? And she started laughing, and she's like, well, that's a long time ago. It doesn't matter. I was way back before you were born, and I was in the 80s, and hair was cool, and hair metal, and the Colt, and Duran Duran, and Motley Crue, and all these things. And I was like, well, don't ever get on to me about smoking cigarettes. So then I switched to Copenhagen. Yeah. So, no, there's a Brad Paisley song. It's like, there's a skull can in a Playboy under my bed, and that was me. Yep. Yeah. But that's where that song came from that day. I think that a lot of that energy, and also Josh, had his emotional take on it, and McCoy too, and it kind of related to all moms. There's a life before they have us. They're not just always these saints that we look up to when we're growing up. Sometimes not, but that there's a life before that. So that's where that song came from.
How was that right? Did it come out fast because of all those personal connections?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, he's McCoy threw out Earnhart, and I was like, yeah, we're putting that in the song. I like Earnhardt, and so I love racing. I love race cars. So that's where that fit in pretty quick, and it was like one thing. That's where you realize sometimes I'm the artist in the room, and my job is just to direct. I wouldn't say that. I would say this. I wouldn't say that. I want to talk about this, much like we've been talking about. But that day, I was able to really just sit back and just be like, whoa. These people, I'm watching these guys craft a song. This is the craziest thing. It's like watching assembly line at a factory. It was really beautiful. Yeah. And that happened that day. That was magic. Yeah.
I love. You were talking about Brian Davis earlier.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's one of my great friends, and the last song that I wrote with him was a day like that. Like, we kind of all brought. It was me, Brian and AJ Cross. Mm-hmm. We all kind of brought like these ideas, and I wanted to write a song for my kids. Mm. And so I brought this idea, and like we started chatting about it, but then like it was one of those where I just kind of sat back and watched magic happen. Brian is so good in situations like that, and just kind of like AJ and I both were just like, what is going on? You know, and it's
he's so good. I know this is a compliment to him, because I think Brian, number one, he's written many hit songs, but he's also like so underrated in my opinion. He's so good, man. Like,
I mean, he really is. I mean, I would throw out, I'd throw out a line and he'd be like, yeah, I love that. And then get quiet and be like,
what about
this?
But
what if we say it like this? Yeah. And he'd just make a little bit of a twist to it. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, bro. Like, just so awesome when that magic happens.
It's one of those things. It's like, I remember hearing this guy that was a SEAL Team 6 dude talk about, he was on a mission and he was like, it's one of those things you sit back and look like, how did a guy from Butte, Montana get here in this moment? Like I'm in Osama bin Laden's bedroom right now. Like I'm like, man, it's kind of like one of those things. It was the first time, like, at least the Mama Smokes Cigarettes were working with like Jerry Flowers or Allison Veltz. I'm like, man, how did I get here? I don't even know how I got here. I just blinked and it happened. And
you gotta slow down, bro.
A lot of work.
Take it in.
And now that I'm 29. I'm finally starting to be like, whoa, dial it. Look at my label and I. We just parted ways for the first time in 7 years, and it's one of those things. I like look back and I'm like, dude, I wish I would have taken that in. That was a ride. Yeah, and I'm so thankful for it.
I think there's pros and cons. I don't even know if that's the right word, but I sit here and I talk to people every single week and hear these kind of stories about like, it just happens so fast. And there's so many people that like are in your seat. That's like, man, I just didn't take it in. Like I just, now I look back and like, wow. But at the same time, it also keeps you driving. You don't slow down because you're like, oh my gosh, let's like live in this moment. Yeah. Like, it's like, okay, cool. That happened. What's next? Like, and you just keep going. And that's what I see in you, man. You just got that drive.
No, I appreciate it.
Like just, yeah.
I think a lot of that comes from both sides of my family, the work ethic. I come from a really big military family.
Yeah.
All of them were special operations. They've done multiple combat deployments. There's a different kind of mindset that they kind of instill. And I think obviously I'll never be able to do what they did. But I got a little bit of that mindset in me, I think. And then obviously from the Hispanic side of my family, the Mexicans, like, there's just a drive and a work ethic. It's like there is no other option other than to work and to figure this out and to make your way and to create your path and carve it. Because nobody's going to open the door for you. If it doesn't open right away, you got to knock a couple of times. Nobody answers, kick it down. Or ask really nicely and then kick it down. It's one of those things. So I'm really thankful. And I think that's inspired me to do other things, like getting into racing. Racing cars. That's been another thing I've been ambitious about. So yeah.
I love it. Mama Smokes Cigarettes. Can we hear it?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Let's see if it stays in tune. Is that good? It was Evel Knievel, Neil and Stretch Armstrong. You needed a needle to play your favorite songs. Well, it was Aerosmith and Andy Griffith, and Earnhardt's car would go the distance, different times not too long ago. But if you knew now, man, you never know. Back before 2 pink lines, she was young and wild and free. She used to be Miss Saturday Night back when I was just a dream. But she made it look so easy, so it's easy to forget that there was a time when Mama smoked cigarettes. It was hair bands and hairspray. I could stop and hold up traffic. In a spring break vacation, you had to paper map it. That was back before blonde turned gray. Was a camo light and a Zippo flame. Shotgun in my dad's jet black Trans Am. It was right there in her left hand. Yeah, back before two pink lines, she was young and wild and free. She used to be Miss Saturday Night back when I was just a dream. But she made it look so easy, so it's easy to forget that there was a time when Mama smoked cigarettes. The day that she found mine and wrecked her world, well, I just had to remind her of the girl that back before two pink lines, she was young and wild and free. She used to be Miss Saturday Night back when I was just a dream. But she made it look so easy, so it's easy to forget that there was a time when I smoked cigarettes. But there was a time when Mama smoked cigarettes.
Such a great song, dude.
Oh, thank you. I forgot I had it tuned down, so I was like, oh, got to play from here.
Yeah, so good, man. What was the feedback from your mom when she first heard that song?
Well, it's on camera.
Is it?
Yeah, the video went viral. If that's what you call it. Yeah, it went viral that day. And so, I recorded it, got an actual raw reaction. People are always like, oh, it's probably staged. And a lot of videos are staged. No, not that one. My mom was cutting bread. We were making dinner. She was making pasta. And she came to visit me in Nashville. So I was like, I got to get a reaction. So handed the phone off and played it for her. And my mom's reaction, you could see she's trying not to cry. She hadn't heard it. She knew I wrote this song. And she's like, I want to hear it. I'm like, no, I'll let you know when it's done. So I had this demo. And it was like 3.4 million views in about 2 days.
Wow.
You know. But here's the thing with virality. It can be a viral song, but it doesn't mean it's a hit song, right? I mean, it's a viral song. This one felt a little different. You know, it was like, it wasn't about the virality of it, because that can die off real quickly. It's like the song was what's going to keep it going. And it's like, I posted it again the other day and it popped off again. And I was like, okay, it's a good song. It's a really good song. And I hate that justifies it, but it does. It does a little bit. Yeah.
We had Colby Calais on not too long ago, and she was talking about MySpace, how she got her break, and and then socials today, Instagram, TikTok, and all that. And the thing that I love that she said, which is so true, is that the difference between the old days, let's call it, with A&R and labels, and you'd make it if they wanted you to make it, right? Like socials and songs that are going viral like that, it truly is the fans that are making that they're the ones that are making it go viral.
Yep.
And it's got to feel so good, because that's what you want. That's what you want to build. And I love that, man.
It's also your own worst enemy too, because when virality dies off, the younger generation now thinks, well, my career's over. I'm not viral anymore. And my videos are stuck in 10,000 views. And I've got over 200,000+ followers on TikTok. 1 week I might have 100,000 views, the next week I might have 500 views. It's an algorithm, and it doesn't justify anything. If you believe your music's great, your music's great. And if you truly believe that and convince yourself, and you keep writing the songs first and foremost. And I also think relatability. I got stuck, in this thing where it's like I was trying to sometimes be somebody I wasn't, because I think I'd been conditioned that way a little bit, because you're just trying to keep up and you're comparing yourselves, and that's the dark side of it, is getting stuck with comparison and looking at numbers all the time, and label people being like, well, this song's not viral, so we can't release it, rather than just releasing a great song because it's a great song. And that's another thing with touring, though, is knowing you can take away everything else, but if you have a strong touring fan base, you can't take that away. That's always going to be there. Those are true underground fans.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Man, say it again. Just it's a great song, dude.
I appreciate it. Yeah. It's one of my favorites. It really is.
Let's talk about one more off the EP, Country Dreamin'.
Yeah.
Man, you got to write that with Brad and Trevor from Old Dominion.
Uh-huh.
And then Matt Jenkins, who's also Matt goes back to when I first started listening to him. He and I have been buddies from the way back in 2005, 2006 days. Great collaboration. Take me into the room. How'd that idea come about, and what was it like writing with those guys?
Man, well, actually, I saw Matt years ago at the old listening room.
Yeah,
He's
one of the few. Everybody thinks of Cummins Station as the original.
Yeah.
I started that one in 2008 or 2009.
Yeah.
No, 2008. But we started in 2006 in Franklin, and Matt is one of those few. Kent Blasey, Corey Batten.
Dude, I didn't know you guys started in Franklin.
Yeah, 2006 to
Cummins
2008.
Station's the one I remember. Yeah.
So, and even like Trevor and Brad used to play back then too. So, yeah. Matt's played all 4 locations we've been to.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So is his brother Josh. I've ridden with Josh a handful of times. I've ridden with them together too, which is cool.
Yeah. They did a show together not too long ago
with Jordan and Jacob.
It was so cool.
I love Jacob too, and I love Jordan too. Just that's another thing. This community is great. There's what you guys have built's just fantastic too.
Oh, thanks, man.
And it's also one of the only things in town that actually pays people, and more importantly, the songs are really important. But that's such an amazing thing, and people get to hear your songs, and it's always packed out. So, anyways, though, with Country Dreamin'. That day was funny as a cancellation. Sometimes you get thrown in that, you know how that goes. Like it's a cancellation, you get thrown in, and sometimes as you walk in, like, whoa, I should not be here. These guys are way too good. And we wrote that. I mean, I already had music out, but we wrote that, and I was like listening to it, and I was like, guys, this is awfully country. This is like really kind of like Eaglesy, and it's a little out there a little bit, and I don't know. I was trying to make more like Billy Currington, right? I love Billy Currington, and I was like, wait a second, Roman, shut up and just listen. Like I was watching these guys, these 3 dudes just bounce, and it was, Brad and Trevor. I'm like, I'm in the room with Old Dominion. Like these guys are basically Old Dominion. I mean, they are. And then you got Matt, who's incredible. And the song just kind of poured out. And I remember being like, guys, like, I don't understand Country Dreamin'. It's so country. Trevor goes, Roman, it's about, you're dreaming about being in the country. You're stuck in the motion of life. You're stuck in traffic, and you're stuck doing all these things. And when you fall asleep and you dream about the country, it's like you just want, like, you ask the world, like, why does it have to wake you up? That's where you want to be. That's what you want to be doing. And I was like, oh, well, that's pretty interesting. It's about dreaming about being in the country. And like, the production was really cool because I love the Eagles. So it was kind of cool to like pull some production from that idea. And the steel guitar, there's nothing like the steel guitar. So yeah, that it wasn't an idea that I had that day. It was more or less just watching those guys again, just do their thing. I think Matt Jenkins was the one who kind of threw that one around. And then Brad had a guitar melody. Actually, I have the work tape on my phone, and it still is so cool to hear those guys just bantering back and forth.
Yeah.
So
was that another one that came out quick?
It was about 4 hours, about 3.5, 4 hours.
Yeah.
And sometimes, those guys are busy dudes, so they had to balance. I'm like, I gotta be on my A game. I gotta have this thing ready to go. And I didn't. I walked in that exact cancellation. I was expecting to write with people more at my level, and I got thrown with those guys. I'm like, oh, I'm so screwed. I'm so screwed today. And now they're pros, and they knew, like, just, I was like, I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna write about today. And they came out with that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
another great song, man. Everybody out there listening, if you haven't checked out the EP, make sure you go do that. Yeah. It's great. Okay, we've only got a few minutes left here, so I want to talk a little bit about touring. You talked about Sam Hunt earlier, also Old Dominion. You've been on the road with both of those guys. What stands out the most from you being out on tour as an artist? Like what's some of the coolest live experiences that you've been able to have?
I've got a few. With Sam, I was direct opener, and the same with Old Dominion. So to be direct opener, people aren't getting up to go get snacks or use the bathroom. They're typically ready for the headliner to come on. So they're watching the direct opener because sometimes they want to see who's up next in country music. That sometimes is kind of like the place to see it, And sometimes it's first to four, sometimes first three, but usually direct is like, okay, And it was that was really cool. I was selected to do the Sam Hunt tour, and to be full circle with Sam. That was probably the coolest thing, like get full circle with that guy, and to realize how cool and down to earth he is, and he's like the sweetest dude. We have some like connections and that we didn't really realize we had, and man, he's an incredible dude. But another thing that's not it's a live, I guess it counts as live. I did the BMI Songwriter Festival in Maui.
Yeah.
And this is 2019, and so I was playing. It was like you get a new artist, like a super new artist. I didn't have music out yet, and then it was, I believe, Cassie Ashton, Miranda Lambert, Maren Morris, Bobby Pinson, and Luke Dick. And so I'm like, man, this is really cool too. And it was at this private residence, in this guy's house in his living room. Basically, it's like an outdoor living area. So like Owen Wilson's there. I think Vince Vaughn was there. Woody Harrelson, like all these random folk, man. It was really cool. And so I was like, I don't know what song I'm going to play. Well, Cocktail Conversations was the first song I released. And so I was like, well, I have this song I just wrote recently called Cocktail Conversations. Maybe I'll play that one. That's the only song I knew how to play, too. That was mine. So I went out there, and I remember my hand was shaking. And the label executive, 12-6, looked over at the owner, and he's like, oh, dude, Roman's so screwed. Because like my hands I was visibly shaking. If I couldn't do it in front of 100 people, and sometimes that's even more nerve-wracking. Like I get more nervous playing a writer's round than I do on an actual stage.
Yeah.
Because there's you can cover up your flaws.
Yeah,
you can't cover up your flaws.
Yeah.
And, you know how it goes. Obviously,
you got a full band behind you. You can do whatever you want.
I can blame it on the drummer.
Yeah, exactly.
I can blame it on the guitar player. I missed that note. Nah, that's drummer.
Yeah.
But I looked in the front row. And this is still the coolest live experience I've ever played on. All the tours I've ever done, my own stuff. I looked in the front row, and it was Willie Nelson and Kris Kristofferson sitting next to each other.
Come on, man.
And I was like, there's 100 people here. Willie lives in Maui. So did Kris.
I would have forgotten every word to every song.
I look, dude, this is crazy. I look, and I just look at Willie, and I'm like, wait, I had a Highwayman poster on my wall. This is 2 of the Highwaymen right here out of the 4, and I'm sitting, my hand shaking, and I'm like, oh my God, like this is like my dream come true, but I'm also gonna screw up. And Willie saw that I was nervous, and he had his leg crossed like this, and he put his hand up and he goes, "You're hard." And I was like, okay, we're good. I locked in, I played it. He stood up, clapped at the very end, and Kris Kristofferson was like smiling. And
dude, I got chills right.
And then Kris passed away, some years later. So it was like, that was incredible to get to see. And the fact that he took he stole a helicopter. If anybody knows the story, he stole a helicopter from Fort Campbell and flew all the way to Johnny Cash's house in Hendersonville to deliver a song.
Yep.
I mean, that is, number one, it was very illegal for him to do that. But that's so cool that he wanted it that bad.
He wanted to give that tape to
you can't buy that.
This has been an episode of Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair. For more information after the show, head over to chrisblair.com. That's where you can find information on these episodes, trailer notes, video links, all kinds of great stuff. Also, make sure to leave us a great rating on iTunes, like and follow us on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. I really hope that you think this show is awesome, and we really appreciate the love and support. I promise to keep gathering great content and continuing to sit down with more amazing songwriters and artists as we grow. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for the support. We'll see you next time.